All right, cool. So the crypto and coin investments lesson team, something I've been wanting to get into for a while. I know, Deck doing last week with his investment lessons, always going over different ways to make money. This is something I wanted to get into. I've dabbled into crypto here and there. My friends more so than me, and I've asked them questions over the years, and they really say to Josh, I've learned a lot from what you've taught me, and put that right into the crypto world. And so I'll teach you what I've not only done, and that, like I said, what I'm teaching here in chat every day, you're going to really pretty much implement that over in the crypto world. And secondly, the coin, and like I love doing for searching for coins. That's something, back in the day, coins or cards I looked at all the time. And there's things that you can do your own and in your own time. And now, of course, I doubt a lot of people are going to be looking for coins, but if you ever get that time too, or maybe you get older, you just use these, and it's very simple stuff. But maybe you do want to look for coins every once in a while, and their coins are very valuable. Maybe you stumble across, maybe your family has some, but maybe you stumble across some. Maybe your family has some, your friends have some. They don't realize how valuable they are. Just say, hey man, let me take a look at those. Oh, dude, those are just some pennies. Let me have them. Maybe talk your way into just getting them just because they are pennies, but they cost thousands, or maybe hundreds of dollars. But I just want to get into both sides of where I've made money besides just in the stock market. And so this is one of the couple of the other areas, and they both are coins, right? Coins you can really hold, the old school kind of coin and the new kind of coin that everyone wants, Bitcoin, so on and so forth. So let's get into these. So first things first, I want to go over a few of these that you can see kind of the range where you watch, say, Avalanche, or you watch Solana, you watch Terra. Just go on a Terra, right? You go from 64 cents to $92, 77 cents to 100. You go to 460 to 90. We know what Bitcoin and Ethereum have done. They have gone crazy. So those are big time, tickers that I've been a part of over the years. Of course, last year in Dogecoin, everyone was in the Doge. So that's way part of the past, and that's probably not going to spike again. That was kind of more like a fad and a trend that we're going to see, kind of like GameStop, AMC. That lasted a lot longer, as you can tell. But those little trends and fads that last a little longer, that maybe, like I said, you go into Saturday Night Live, and Elon Musk is kind of, and then that was the top of, and it dumped from there. But if that's what you're buying into, it's more of a pump and dump type play, not something that's going to last forever, something to look into. And so you're going to want to look into trades or to tickers, or I should say to I'm always thinking of stocks, but you're wanting to look into coins essentially, and crypto that has moved. You always are looking for that next mover, 100%. And I'll kind of get into my last one at the very end that I think is going to maybe make the next big move. But you're always looking when they first come out, and you're just watching them. You're not trading them day in, day out. These are more for investments, type of a mentality. You want to get in, find a good area, and you're going to hold that area, hold that play for weeks, months on end, most likely, at least weeks for sure, until you see a nice, good return. And because that's usually what happens. It is not day trading. You're not going to get those returns typically within days. It's going to take a week or two or longer. And so those are just some of the ones that I've been into. And let's go ahead and just really what I want to do next is that very same thing. If I can minimize this quickly, go over here to the next page, and you can see I'm going to go through some of these real quickly. So here we go. Let's pull this over here real quick. So we'll pull this up and kind of go through these, and I don't want to tease it. That was maybe my XRP, but I like XRP maybe for a move up. But I want to get into just a lot of these. I'm not going to go over to Bitcoin. I think we've all looked at Bitcoin. We've all seen Bitcoin and how it's moved. To me, there's really no reason to go over it. Now, if you want to look for investing on Bitcoin, I'll kind of dive into it. So I want Bitcoin. So if you want Bitcoin, I doubt there's many people out there that have $38,000 and some change to just get one Bitcoin. But it's the same type of mentality when you kind of go back through Bitcoin or what you're looking for in the rest of these plays, or any of these coins. You're looking over key areas like stocks. And so right here is just a beautiful example of what I'm talking about. So you see this top here right around 12K. And so when you see a top that's being built over time, what's going to happen when you get over that next leg usually. You get a breakout, right? And so that's what we're looking for. And no, not typically maybe the third touch breakout type, which did happen here. So, third touch breakout. Kind of in a way. If you want, that's kind of 1, 2, and 3-ish already. If you just want to consider the top area, it is maybe just 1 and 2, and this is the third one that comes through it. The main thing is you're just looking for a breakout over a resistance area that you can see being built up around that 12, 20, that area, right? And then you get the next leg up. And that's what I'm going to do with each and every one of these, and where I actually got in on these trades and what you're going to be looking for. And then for same thing. Not only when they first come out and say, okay, I've missed my big run, where's a pullback area? Then secondly, what do I need to look for the next time a big run is made? What am I looking for? And the main thing you're looking for in each and every one of these, and you can just go back and look I love diving into these really at the beginning, and when I started getting involved in these more so, which was last year, which you can tell, say right here with AVAX. I loved AVAX last year. this movement, and I know I don't like this charting as much over here on TradingView, but it's just a simple one so I can go through each and every one of them. But this is one of the one I use most because I don't really care about day in, day out charting. I'm not worried about, oh, here's what's happening today. I'm just taking a glance at it, finding an area I like and getting in. So breakout areas, right? So early on with AVAX was this first top right here. As you can see that I kept going back to this, and I just called it $14. Man, if this ever gets over 14, I'm taking this in for a ride on the next level up. And I just took it to 20. I took it literally from 14 to 20 team last year. This is when I first started getting into these, and everyone told me, Josh, you need to hold for longer, and I didn't. And I was a little scaredy cat, and I got out, and then it went to ripping, right? Just goes to ripping. If I can zoom out a little further here, but you can see here, just goes to ripping fully up to 50 something right after I got out. I mean, I get out here at 20. I mean, I held this thing for maybe what? How long did I hold this for? Like probably 3 days, maybe. I was like, yeah, I'm already getting my return. I'm out. I got it in like 3 days, right? I was thinking I'm going to have to hold it for weeks. And that's what I'm saying. You're going to maybe every once in a while run into one of these, like in the stock market, where you get a bananas mover and you're like, oh my God, hey, I should have held longer. Or B, wow, here it goes. Here comes my big runner. I was a part of the first part of the move, right? Over this 13, and it was really like 13.5. You could tell where the resistance area was. I just want to be clean cut and get in at 14 plus. And I got in right as it started breaking 14 one day. I had an alert set on my phone, and then I just got in very small, just $1,000 worth essentially, and had that ride up. And that's how I did it first. And that's what I tell a lot of traders to do, like even when they invest in real stock market. Go small at first. Don't go big. Don't go throwing your whole account at it too, because then you may not have any money to trade it elsewhere. So have a separate account set up, whether it's Coinbase. I like Coinbase. I'm not going to tell you where you need to go where you need to invest your money at. There are many places. It's very easy to tell you, go to Coinbase. We can have many lessons on where to go put your money at. Robinhood's a simple one. Robinhood's very sketchy though too. So Coinbase is a simple one, very easy to use, but there's many out there that you can use to get in and out of your trades, and a lot of them have apps that you can use as well on your phone. And so I'm not going to tell you who I don't care who you use. That's here nor there. I'm telling you areas what to look for. And first and foremost, it's breakouts. When these things break out over certain key resistance areas, they go on a tear on the next leg up. And so I was a part of this small little run of $6, and it went on a freaking tear of 25 plus more, right around 20. I should say right at 25 more, 35 more, I should say, from 20 to 55. And of course, literally, if I just would have held it for another, 4 or 5 more days, I would have been super banking with just $1,000 worth. That would have turned in from say a $5,000 investment, return. It would have been a massive return, like 40,000, 30, whatever it would have been. At least 30, 40,000 if I would have held it just a tad longer, and that's fine. But I just again early on wanted to get little small chunks of runs. And so now let's go back through this, and I'll zoom in. I hate that it does this, and so let's catch back up to now and go. Okay, well, cool, AK. What about areas to look for dip buys? Where do we want to get in so this comes pulling back? Well, you can see a nice good area always built, and these are never as clean cut as stocks for the most part when these pull back. But you can see in anywhere from say the 22, in my opinion, and I'm thinking the same thing, and I want it. This ever somehow gets back to 22, 20, we'll call it 22, 25, to 25, and 25 is when I'm gonna start getting in again. That's what I want for a pullback, where for a move to back up to the top part of this channel at 37. That's what, just like stocks team, you're looking for the same thing, but you're thinking for more area. The area is not as it's not like, like when I say the 225 area or 220, it's more like a 2, like as in you can see, it's more of a 25, it's more of a $2 to $3 range. It's going to be a bigger range area, but you're in it for a longer period of time. So it's okay. You're good with getting in anywhere. If it settles in here for a minute or two, we know the return area back up. We can see anywhere from say 33-ish up to 37, 38. You need to start locking some in. Now, maybe I never get that. It just goes on the next tear up. Well, look at this shelf that's being built right now. So cool. Go on a tear up to 52 to 55 again. Then I'm going to look for the dip buyback of where? Back off this little area at 35, 36, 37. Using it just like stocks team. We're not going to change the game here and make things any more difficult than they need to be. We're going to keep things real simple here and trade things like we see in the stock market, because that's what we are doing and what a lot of these guys are doing. They're just it's just investments, right? These are just long-term investments really in the end, more so than day trades. And so we can go back to, let's go to the next one. Let's go to Sol. Another one early on, same type of situation, team. Now this one is pulling back a little bit further, and just real quickly, you can see this one's on a tear back. And I've been loving this area, and I did not think it was going to get back here, but I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I'll start alerting this soon. If this gets back to $71, team, right where this dip was, right around 70, 71, I'm going to be getting in this for sure for a move back up. Easily to 85, if not close to the $100 range. You can see these dip buys are, nice, good, areas on the way down here from this. Almost looks like a scary creature, or maybe it's a fire that's going on. Almost looks like a fire. But you're looking for dip buys, right? And if that area fails, that's fine. I'll get out of it. Once it relatively maybe cracks the 67 area, I can tell it's not going to bounce. I did not. I doubt it ever gets there. But 50, you kidding me? If it gets back to 50, I'm getting off this shelf. But let's go back early on. So that's the bounce areas moving down. Let's see how this moves up. And you're going to go back to XRP and kind of see the same movement I saw with it. Now, XRP's taking a little bit more of its sweet time. But as we know, last year was one of the main reasons why a lot of these went bananas here. Was because 2021 was like the year for crypto. A lot of it started, and you can see where I'm about to start, where I got in, which all of my investments were in February. So I see this early movement. I'm like, man, this is nice. I like how it's already got a shelf being built right here. If I can get a dip buy off this 385-ish, $4 area, I'm going to go in. Go in long. It never does. And so now by the time, when I'm when I'm looking at it right here going, it's just not going to happen now. And this is when I'm really now, and again, set an account aside for cryptocurrency. Don't have two different accounts. I'm going back to that again. Have your own crypto account set to the side. So I set aside $5,000 to play with crypto last year. You know what? I'm going to set $5K over to the side. Not a lot, but just enough to kind of get in and out of these plays, within 4 or 5 days. Maybe hold them for a week, maybe hold them for 2 weeks. That was really my goal at first. A lot of them, I wasn't holding them nearly as long as I wanted to because the movement last year was very volatile compared to what we're seeing so far this year, right? Last year was a year for crypto. So let's get back here. If I can zoom in. Come on, we're trying here. There we go. Let's make this a little better. And so we can see where I'm starting to get in here. Went a little too far right there. That was my bad. So right here, now we're back. All right, mid-February, right? So this is when I started trading. As you can tell a second ago, I was in AVAX first, and at the same time, I want to try to do both, but I didn't want to be two at the same time, so I waited for the AVAX move. Wasn't in it very long, right? So it was right around right here that I got into over this shelf. Same thing, same breakout mentality, and I wanted to move over 10. I was like, okay, should I wait for, the 925 break? I want to break over 10. If this breaks over this area to U-shaping real well, I like this little, this movement up that it's had. So like a break over 10, definitely getting in. Well, I got in over 10. Then I got kind of scared here for a minute. 100% on the 20th. I almost got out of my position. It came down, as you can tell, it hit pretty much 10 on the dot. And then exactly like I wanted and thought I was going to get initially, it just took literally one extra day of scaring AK in the butt. Out the butt, whatever you want to call it. I was scared though, definitely, but I was scared for sure. And then boom, the next 2 days you can see boom, 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 and then actually held it. I think I held it for a week or so. I didn't get this tip top part. I sold somewhere here in the 14s. It was one of these days. I can't remember in the 14s, but held it for like I wanted. I ended up holding it for about 2 weeks and actually was like, wow, I was proud of myself. I held that for a few weeks, or a couple weeks, I should say, and got about $5 movement, or $4 or $5 movement, almost $5. And so, but then again, what happened right afterward? And then I'm like, oh, I just want to have a little longer. It goes, that's when we saw the real tear starting to come. And that's when, of course, I got out of, this was already out of this play and was started looking at lower price stocks that I could get a lot of share size in, like Doge and a lot of the other tickers that moved. But you can just see over key areas. Here's just another example. Look at this prime area that was built, and when we push over it, I'm not saying it was prime, but that high of day area, I keep looking at this intraday, but that high that was built, look what happens when we go over it. Every time a high is built on a lot of these, when they start tearing, that's why I want you to find these early on, team, because the sooner you can find these early on, the better you're going to be you will be as a trader and be able to get these moves in and actually be a part of them. And now it's hard to catch them. Now last year that's why last year was a lot. We saw a lot of big moves because we saw a lot of these that were just released in say the previous 7 months of the previous year or two, so they're relatively new and had a lot of movement to be had last year, right? And so same right here is another one that I love, Luna, the same type areas, right? So you can see here's when I was in my first two, I was in, AVAX, and then was sold, and then right around right here, now I'm freed up with some of my, my movement, my equity that I had for more crypto movement, because I'm out of my SOL play, SOL. And so I'm looking. This is when I started finding and liking, because it hasn't gone up a lot yet. And so around the same time as Doge and the same time as everything that was kind of ripping last year, this goes on a rip. But I was already in I was already in the plays, and this already kind of made the runs. Like, I want to pull back area. Well, what happened last year? We saw a lot of stuff dip back hard. And so what I did when this came back, and I had to ride it for a while. Look what happened. This came back last year, team. Look at the beautiful support. This is one of my favorite trades I was in right here. Was right here with Luna. So Luna comes down, again, never went in big with a lot of these, just about $1,000 investment most times. Of course, Doge was a lot more. Of course, I had $5,000 account. That was about 6 cents when I got into that, rode that up to, was scaling out along the way. 20-cent area, I remember selling some, 50 cents, 70 cents. I don't think I got any of the 70-cent areas, my point. When it kind of topped out when Elon was on Saturday Night Live, I did see it dumping off at that time frame, and that's when I was like, oh my God, this is dumping. It was in like the 60s, and that's when I dumped. I literally sold the rest of my Doge, whatever you want to call it, coin last year, Dogecoin, whatever you want to call it. Sold that last year when Elon, that's when I sold the rest of it. I didn't have much left. I was like, you know what, this is tanking hard. I really don't have a good feeling about this continuing up as much as this is dumped already. This is not a good sign. I wanted this to spike when Elon went live. He went live and it took a while. It took about 30 minutes. But it started right when he went live. Right when he started going live, it was already going down pretty good. And then about 30 minutes in, it really started hitting off hard. It's like, I'm out. I'm not holding. This is not good. But that was around the same time. Okay, let's go back to this though. That was in that one in April through May, right? April through May. He went live. I think it was I forgot. Well, it was May. I forgot when in May last year. But remember, he went live on Saturday Night Live. Elon Musk did, and that's when Doge took the skyrocket down. So boom, I'm out of it. And so the next one I'm in. Now let's fast forward to Luna. So we went from AVAX to Sol to Doge to now over to Luna here. So Luna's going to be my next one that I'm in, and I see this high area right here. I can't want to say high of day. I'm always thinking of intraday charts, but I see 22 as a high, and I'm going, if we can get over 22, going to be on our next leg up. And I already saw this kind of moving, right? And so that was the first area I'm looking at. But then it starts skyrocketing down. I'm at everything, like I was saying, with Doge to Bitcoin, everything is just kind of moving back at this time. Some of them harder than others. And I was like, okay, hey, if we get a dip, if I can get this back to $5, $6, and I got in at $6. I thought 6 was a good low price, and it went a little lower. And so I kept averaging these 2 days, knowing there's no way this doesn't come back up from falling down from, say, 16 back up. And I thought my 10 was my main first goal when I was averaging in. If I can just get back to 10, I've averaged in my full account almost now, this crypto. I don't want this to be the end of my crypto journey that just started off so well, and it's kind of, here we go, I'm doing the scaling in thing to my full account size, with the admiration. There's no way this is dumping back anymore. This is going to see a bounce at least back up to this 10-ish area, this little shelf that was built somewhere in here, and same right here, same kind of thought process, 875 roll to 10. So those two little shelves had 3 on the way up, 1, 2, and 3 that I wanted to get back to. Well, I held. Nothing was going on here. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to hold this through the summer. This is going to be my crypto play essentially through the summer. And it surely was, because I had to hold, and it did not. I didn't hold. No, AK didn't hold through the end of August like you wish AK, your boy, would have done. But once it started getting back to, and I wanted it back to this 10 area at most. It did it in like this 2-day span. I was like, yes, because I saw this first little crux, and it got back to it a couple different times, you can tell. See, look at this team. Just like stock market. Look how this hit right here is resistance. When we came back up, resistance fell down. Came back up, resistance, and tried to fail again, but we pushed through. And that's when I started selling, was this day when we were pushing through to 10. I was like, okay, half my share size, I am out of this now. I cannot believe I've been in this long. Very first day, where is it? Yep, very first day of August 1st, I'll never forget, sold this at the $12 mark area, because it was right after that, the rest of August, it seems like this just ripped, because where's the last day of August? August 31st. It just ripped the rest of all. I was like, every one of them. So if you want to take AK's lesson here too, on top of the fact, because I got some good areas of where to get in, just hold longer than AK holds. That's the key for also on this lesson, team. But you can just tell the areas to get in. It's not, honestly, it's not hard, team. Wait for pullbacks to nice, good support areas. Wait for breakouts of over clear resistance areas, as you can tell. And when we get over those, look, we failed at this area twice, actually. Didn't quite fail at this area. We kind of failed more so at this area, at the bottom part. As you can tell, see where it came down the support? That was the failing point. So it's kind of in between the two, in between the high and the high here. Then we ran for more, and then we kind of ran into this congestion, but for not for long, and look what happened. And that's why I was really looking at, and I want to get back in. I was like, don't do it, Josh, just don't do it. But over this high that I kept looking back, and now back to that 22 area. Look how when we skyrocketed to that, we went $8 in a day or two. I think it was 2 days we went $8, and I was like, I knew I should have done it. I knew I should have. God, I knew I should have. That was the first area I looked at, originally when I found the play. Right after I got out of Doge, and then so it is what it is. But you find the areas, and I just want you guys to see it's not hard. It's really simple. It's find bounce plays back down at support, or rips past the highs. Whatever the highs are, especially the high that it's created, it will rip past those areas. I mean, right here's a high that's created. Look how it rips right past it, $6. You know, when you create a high, you rip past it ultimately most times with these tickers. And you can see over time, a lot of them, if you just hold and hold and hold, you really end up doing well. Now, of course, you can see recently, and I'll kind of fast forward here, we have another crazy February most recently, and that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I saw a few of these going nuts again recently. As you can see, this one from 50 to 100 in, a matter of, 2 or 3 weeks here. So a nice good rip. Another one from Luna. And where to look for a bounce play, team? Oh, I'd be going back down, and same with AK. I'm looking at $55 down to about 50 for Luna for a dip buy. So if this ever gets back down to 55, that's where I want for a pure nice dip. I want to be safe with my dips. I'm not going to go up here and go, well, and I do. I like 70, 75, 70. But that would be more of a day, you're in and out within 2 or 3 days. And it's going to come down, it's going to give you a rip and bounce back up, and then it may fall down even more and harder, so you have to keep your eye on it. Where I'd rather get in lower, hold it for 2, hold it for 3 weeks, hold it for... If I can hold it for, like last year, where I held Luna for a matter of months till it did rip, in, and like I said, I'm like, heck. And then I look back, I'm like, like I said, days after August 1st, going, I held to August 1st. How did you not hold any longer? You held this thing for about 3 months, 2.5 months. How did you not hold any longer? It is what it is, though. But I want you guys to look at the same thing. Find your good areas of support and bounce play opportunities. Whether you see this, whether it's coming down to 50, maybe you want to come down. I even like this shelf right here at 45, right? So 50 to 45 is where I'd be getting in on this big time. You ripping past 100, you can tell us, and that's the high, and we've double topped there. Team, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to go bananas over 100. It's going to fly up to 110, 120, 130, 140 maybe even. So just keep those on mind. Same thing with, and I won't go, get back into, much more ether, I know, or urethrium, however you want to say it, but it has been rolling big time. Same thing with last year. This is one I barely got in and out of. It was early. This was my first one. Never got into Bitcoin. It was already up too high for me. But same thing back. This was my first when I started dabbling in it. When I first opened my account, was this right here with a 480 mark. And you can see back in November of 2020 when these were ripping. This was my area, and this is when I started realizing, and traders that were coming to me were literally saying, AK, Josh, just use what you've implemented to me. I went over to crypto. I'm making tons of money now, and it's a little more simple because you're doing long-term holding, but it's the same thought process. So find your areas, and when you break out over them, that's the kind of the two that were taught to me from my 3 friends that do this more often, way more than I do. They said, dude, stick to the tops and find your areas and watch for breakouts over them, then watch for pullbacks to those tops, especially if they were heavily created. A lot like you do in the stock market, man. I'm like, really? And they're like, really? I was like, okay. And then they just show me this. Like, look at this top. Look at the breakout above it. Look at this top. Raining resistance. Look at the breakout when we got above, and I'm like, I'm like, whoa, that is, and they were saying, especially when you see a high, then a pullback. Not like high, that it's harder to break. We see a high, then a pullback. When we break it, then you see a high, then a pullback. When you break it, you see what I'm saying? And so that's what I always look for. So I look for a high to be set, get a nice good pullback and a dip if I can, which in this, like say this one, I wanted 285 last year. It was my first dip I wanted. It never came down, kept trending up. I'm like, well, 285 is not happening now. I'm watching for this to break out over 475, and I'm getting in, or 480, I should say, 480, and I'm getting in. And I always go with higher areas. And so when it went over, I think the high there was what? I think it was around the... I don't think it got all the way up to 470 or 480, I should say. It was like at 476 or 477. So I just always go a couple of dollars over it just to be safe. And of course, this is the one time where it actually bit me in the butt, where it wasn't this day, but it was this day. I'm like, okay, we're clearly over 480. Opening, closing candles, we're good to go. And it came down. This one kind of started scaring me. Started coming down. Like, okay, we cannot, get back under, say about. And I was thinking in my mind, say 460, because I went super small in on this. I only went in with a $500 investment, very small, just to test the waters. And then ended up being right. Got to be patient, because my patience game had already been manipulated and worked into the stock market game, so I already knew to hold and be careful and to wait. In this game, just go, hey, just like stocks, you got to give it some time, give it some breathing room. Give it, you're only in, a $500 investment. That's not a lot. Give it to about this 460 shelf, 457 shelf. It cracks back below that, like it did below. Maybe it does it again. It's done, right? If we keep doing this, it may crack real hard, and so it can go all the way back down to 435, which you don't want to be a part of. You're in at 480. And so I was good, only came down about 470, and then whammy. I was like, oh, wow, they were right. Because I was messing with them. Of course, I was probably annoying to them. Like, dude, you go live for stock trading. And I know, but I'm a newbie at this. I'm like those guys that hit me up and like, hey, there's always a newbie. And I want, just like I would treat them with the utmost respect. Treat me with respect. Just let me know I'm right. But they were, of course, I'm sure I was annoying, but they were like, dude, you're good. You're good. Of course, I sell somewhere in the 500s, probably was only at maybe $30, $40 at most, sold somewhere in the low 500s. Of course, look where it does rip to, and then look where it ultimately rips to, and I was laughing because this is when I really opened up my account. It was right after January of 2021 last year, and I'm like, God, that was one, and it just kept doing it, kept doing it. As in stocks I kept getting into, which is fine with me. Every one of them, team. I mean, look at the run. Here's the break area I wanted to get into, and you can tell, let's go all the way back to it. Yeah, the 480 break. You can see the resistance right there, the 480 break. And you can come back to past chart history and see what I was looking at even right here, right? And going, okay, well, we've had this top. Maybe if we get over 500, I'll be golden. And that's what I want to get to with some in the low 500s. And then this ends up happening, but even more so. I'm like, no! And then it happened however many more times. So just find the areas, team. Hopefully that kind of helps you out. If there's any questions, ask me real quick on the crypto side, team. Do you have any questions about where to invest, what to be looking for? And XRP is kind of my next one, team. So XRP, I have been in this for quite a while now. XRP has been in one since, wow, what the heck? Computer real quickly there. I don't care about it. 30-day free trial. I'll just use this whenever I want it. Anyway, team, but this is one I've been in since early. Again, this was probably the most recent ones I got into, which was last year after I got out of, which you can see in August here. This was down at a nice good dip area, and so I missed this dip, and I was kind of annoyed. So August 1st was when I got out of my Luna trade. And after I got out of my Luna trade, this is the next one I've been in since, and I've gotten out multiple times, and I've been in right over this area, and now we're back to it. And so you can just see, and I like this area. If it gets back a little bit lower, which it did at 60 cents, this is where I did actually kind of load up a little bit more on my share size. But again, when this ripped up to say $1.20, $1.30, because this was my goal, somewhere in this area, I was taking some off the plate in here, in the September range. And then when it started dipping back down last month, I was kind of adding back up here at the 60-cent range. And so now we're moving back up again in this downtrend, waiting for the downtrend to break. We get back to $1, and this thing spikes over $1. I'm easily going to see $1.20, most likely $1.30. We get back over this $1, and this is why I want to show you guys as in the ultimate next ripper. Watch for this over the $1.90 mark. This could be the one that moves to 5 and 10 next. And we've seen all those other ones I just showed you. SO, I'll go back. I'll bring up the slide list again. All of them started in the cent range, right around $1 or less, and they all moved up to $100, if not more. You've seen recently where they moved to. These early ones that I've been into right here, where they started off, as you can see, they started off at way down here, way down here in the cent range, and then you can see what they end up running to over time. And so that's why some of these, as you can tell, kind of remind me of XRP, where it goes up and then comes down. You're like, okay, it's probably never going to do anything, blah, 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 and then whoo, out of nowhere, just goes crazy. And so that's why XRP is one of my top ones to watch for you guys over this area of 190. We get over this $192 area, I'm telling you, team, this is going to move straight to 5 and 10, I promise you, within a month. So keep XRP on watch for sure. All right, team, I think that helps you guys out, hopefully on the crypto side. Now, let's move over into maybe a little bit more of the boring part of this lesson, which would be let's get into it here real quickly. The coin version. Yes, that's right, the real coin. Proof versus uncirculated coins. What's the difference? And we're going to get into what kind of coins to be looking for. The main thing too, team, if and when you ever do want to look for coins, and I know I kind of laughed, I'm like, what's the dork moment of the day here? Well, I like to be a dork though. Come on here. You want to look for these things, cost lots of money, especially if you have them in your family, or if they've been passed down to you, or if you want to go out and try to find them or stumble across them. But the main thing, if you're ever looking at them, you want a magnifying glass that's about 6 times. 4 or 5 works pretty good, but once you get to 6 plus, you get to one that's at 10, especially, you won't miss any of the little small details that you need to be looking for. So, uncirculated versus proof. There you go. So those are the main things you need to be looking for. And of course, the main thing's proof. I don't know if Doc Savage is in chat today, but Doc Savage went over this recently as well, having a lot of those gold proof coins. Those are what I have. They're very beautiful. They're double struck by US Mint. They're hand polished. They're super pretty. They're a lot smaller in production size. Those are the top 3 things I would be looking for, that you're going to be looking for. But when you see one versus a normal coin, you'll see one that you're going, wow, why is that so pretty? There's a reason why. It's a proof coin versus something that you would just see on the ordinary average day. But these are the main things you're kind of looking for on either side, and you can kind of tell why proof coins are caught. The main thing, why? Because they're double struck and they're very limited. They're very rare. There's not many of them made. And then on top of the fact, when many of them aren't made, we see what a lot of people do with coins. They just throw them out. They may not even realize they've got a coin that is very rare in their pocket or in their hand that you've gotten from the store. You may that's the thing. People that use cash deal, team, I'm telling you, traders, I've gotten a couple where I'm like, oh my God, Avery, and she's like, what? I'm like, she's like, has no idea. I'm like, this coin's actually worth like $5-10, and I know that's not a lot, but it's crazy to think you'll have all of a sudden a nickel or a dime or a penny in your hand, and it's worth usually a quarter because they're bigger and people love quarters or half dollars when they see them. So you're very rarely going to get a quarter or half dollar. That's rare. It's usually going to be a penny, a dime, or a nickel, and you'll maybe run across them when you get it from your local convenience store when you get some change back, and you're going, wow, this nickel or penny just turned into 5, 10, maybe 20,000. I say 20,000, but maybe $20, maybe $100. Very rarely you get the super rare ones that turn into $1,000 or $2,000, but still, even if you have a penny that turns into $5, $10, that's pretty darn cool. Even if you don't want it, you're like, I don't care about this thing. I want $10 instead of having a penny. Then go find you someone to go sell it to. Of course, the main thing, team, when you want to get into this is having patience and don't overlook anything. Always have patience and don't overlook anything when you get into these, whatever you're doing, whether you're, getting into crypto, you're finding those areas, wait for that dip buy. You'll find a pure high resistance area. Just wait for it to purely break. And kind of get over these real quickly, just so you can see, kind of the most expensive coins there are out there, and maybe you'll run across them. I doubt maybe you'll run across any of these, but we'll kind of go through them real quickly so you can see what they look like. But this is a 1969 S Lincoln Cent with the double die observe. One of the main things you'll see with a lot of these is just kind of, there's different things within that happen, say in this penny for whatever reason, and you're going to see when we scroll through these of why it's a little bit differently. Like here, and I love these to kind of give stories. In May 2014, a mother in Texas found one while going through a roll of coins. You see what I'm saying? You'll have a roll of coins, like pennies, right? Just a roll of pennies or whatever it may be. May get some change somewhere, and you'll stumble across one of these, and that's why you have to look for them off the start. You can't just go, oh, wow, I know what this is. There's certain things you may want to be looking for, but like right here, how to detect. Look for a clear doubling over the entire observe. You can see how this looks a little bit differently, more so than most pennies, except for the mint mark. If the mint mark is doubled, it's probably a case of strike doubling. But point being, there's not going to be many of these around. I think there's literally probably maybe a few hundred maybe or so. I doubt. I mean, approximately cost $24,000 if you found one. This is actually one of the ones that I have right here is the double die Lincoln penny that I'll go over a couple times today. This is one that you're going to be looking for. They made a few of these in a few different years. This is the 1971 here, for example. They made, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 of these. I can't remember exactly which different years they did. The main thing to how to detect these, which it's really hard to do, honestly. You have to have your magnifying glass. As you can tell right here, the Liberty right here, see the Liberty's a little bit different right there. There's a different style in it. It's large. It's a lot larger than if you look at most pennies. That Liberty sign is a lot bigger. And it says the double die obverse is best demonstrated by doubling in lib in God. You get my point. So I'd have to show you almost in person what you're looking for versus a regular penny. But if you had a regular penny versus any of these, they don't look anything like this. And so that's how you kind of tell when you're going through. You'll be like, oh, you'll notice right off the bat, why does this penny, you'll almost look fake. It almost looks like it's a fake penny because it's so different than the rest of them, or the nickel, or whatever we're going over. It's always going to look a little bit different. Here's one that I love, and this is definitely one that's super cool. I have never seen one of these before, but I'd love to. Would be one of these ones you can see how it's literally looks like it has like almost like a shadow, essentially, figure to it. And this is one I love a lot. This is really cool. I've never actually seen one of these, but it almost has a shadow. You can see it's where it's double stamped. It got messed up right there. Those are pretty cool. And so you're going to run through a lot of these. I just want to kind of show you anyone can look these up and really go through these and what to be looking for. Like I said, mostly you're going to be pennies. Sometimes you'll run across a dime that's a little bit different. You're going to run across a quarter here and there, but most likely those are always eaten up right away. And so, again, team, look for the main ones I want to go over, though. These right here. This is what you're never going to see, and just to show you how expensive some of these are, like a $10 million coin, a $3 million coin, you're never going to see those. I've never even seen one of these in person, so you're never going to see one of these in person. You're looking at stuff like this. You're looking for something that's old, like say a 1943 copperhead penny, and the main thing you're going to see, it's copper. So you see what happens, how it fades over time. Think of the Statue of Liberty. If you see any coin truly made of this copperhead right here, and it's turning into green, essentially, kind of like the Statue of Liberty has, you're gonna have $5,000 to $10,000 in your pocket right away. This is the one that I actually own myself. It's the 55 double die penny, so it's very old. I love what the main thing you can tell right around the edging right here. Do you see how it turned? And that's why instantly you can tell this bronzing that happens, and it only happens for whatever reason right around that edge right there. It's really, really pretty. It's really cool. And this also, some of them have this little double, you can see the double stamp right there. So that's what I love about those. $1,800. This one costs way more. You can see the double stamping in a lot of these right here, which I love. That's what you're looking for. You're just kind of looking for certain little small things like that. I'm not going to go over this in depth like I said I was. I'm just not going to bore you guys. You're all sleeping. But it's very easy. The main thing you want to look for, have a magnifying glass. Look for, like, if it's a true copper penny, you're going to be looking at the green shape, the green coloring that's looking in. A lot of the other ones you're going to be looking for, whether it's the edging, it's the double stamping, which that's why it's called double die. A lot of this, if you see anything, you're like, why is there two T's, two whatever? You want to instantaneously grab this penny, put it in something safe, keep it as best condition that you can, and you're going to get some money out of it. Whatever even if it's not in fine condition, or even if it's in just okay condition, whatever. I forgot what the middle. There's all the different wordings. I don't remember exactly what the words are anymore. I don't really do this anymore. I did this more so probably 10, 15 years ago when I first started trying to collect these. I just running across from my friend loved to go to antiques, like antique shops. For whatever reason, I'm like, still to this day, I was like, Mitchell, what was your, I was looking for one thing in particular. What were you looking for? You just like looking at old stuff and that smell of those antique barns. But like I said, most of these are going to be pennies. Just scroll through here if you want to ever find the websites. I have a lot of these, like I said, just recently. I mean, look how expensive some of these coins can get. And you can go through here and just go, there's more and more and more, from pennies to silver dollars, of course, double eagle coins. I literally would love to have a double eagle one day. That was always kind of my, because there are only a few of them made, and you can tell how expensive the double eagles are, and there's a ton of them out there. I say a ton of them, but there's a few different ones to be selected from. I always wanted one of those double eagles, never ran across one or found one. That's what you're kind of hoping to do, is you really just kind of end up hopefully stumbling across one of these by accident, whether like the story up here, which you saw, the lady open it up, she was going through a package, and said, oh my gosh, what's this coin's a little different, and you see, that, I want to check in on this, and so you go check in on it, and it's worth a lot of money. So team, hopefully that helps you out with the coin crypto investment lesson. I know the coin part's a little bit more for maybe older folk. Maybe some of you younger people want to get into it. But otherwise, the crypto point, I know no one's really hit hard on that as far as where to be looking to dive in as far as buying and where to be selling at. So hopefully that helps you out on the cryptocurrency side.